Good evening, everybody. It is January 30th, or rather December 30th. We're about to be coming up on New Year's Eve. Kevin hasn't made it in yet, so it's just me here right now, although I have a couple of other guests in the background who will be joining us really quick. Hope you guys have had a good holiday so far. I imagine that we may have a little bit of a light crowd tonight, because I imagine people are probably still traveling for the holidays. I'm not sure if everybody knew that we were going to be here tonight, but we are. Tonight we're going to be covering greatest redemption arcs in movies and TV. I think that'll be kind of fun. The thought process behind that was that we do have New Year's coming up. I don't partake in this tradition, but I know a lot of people do. Lots of people make New Year's resolutions, and it's all about trying to think about the things that you want to do to try and make yourself a better person in the next year. So I thought, why don't we run with that? There's lots of good cinematic redemption arcs that could be a lot of fun. But we do have a couple other guests to join us tonight. The first is Mr. Marvin Montanaro. Sir, how are you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. I've been covering the Stranger Things stuff pretty extensively the last 48 hours. Got a new video up on the M4 Empire about that now. And it's doing really well at the moment. So I'm feeling good about that.
We got some stories to talk about that tonight as well. I have a number of different things to talk about, which I think will be kind of fun, but I do need to bring in our other guests, which I think will be a surprise for most of you. Folks, welcome Trish.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Oh, for the love of God, I'm leaving.
Oh, stop it.
I thought it would be fun tonight because... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I need an attitude change from him in 2026. That's the kind of arc I need from him.
There's nothing that needs to change here, Trish. Everything is staying exactly the way it is.
Yeah, just let Lorn do his job.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, the theory here tonight, I know Trish is sometimes a little bit hesitant to join us on these platforms because she feels like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Trish, but generally speaking, her area of expertise is music, and it's kind of hard to cover music here because that will get you demonetized really quickly.
Yeah.
And she tends not to dive into the same cinematic universes that we do, but she does watch a fair amount of TV, and she's familiar with some shows that have got characters with redemption arcs. So I thought tonight might be a good fit for her. Plus, there's another news story that we're going to cover tonight that I thought she might also want to weigh in on. So welcome here tonight. Glad to have you here, Trish.
Glad to be here, sir.
Before we start getting into our stories for the night, though, I did want to mention something that I saw somebody had called out in the chat. It is something that I want to talk about briefly. We saw tonight that Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge After Dark had put up a video talking about apparently YouTube making a decision regarding the demonetization of the Midnight's Edge After Dark channel. They apparently are continuing to keep the channel demonetized. And Tom is very upset, understandably so. He's put a lot of time and effort and work into that channel. Him and Andre, they are two titans in this space. And
they're the originators. They started all of this.
In many respects, yeah.
They're the pioneers, and I have infinite respect for the two of them. And to see somebody that is as knowledgeable and as talented and as just as important to this space as Tom to be going through something like this, it makes me beyond upset.
Yeah, and so I wanted to urge you guys, if you are fans of Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark, throw some support those guys' ways. I'm sure they're hurting tonight, and they're trying to figure out how to move forward. I think part of Tom's concern is he going to have to start a new channel? And I think the concern I would have, because I don't know how this works on the back end of YouTube, if he does that, does that also potentially put him at risk? You know, I don't know if they would consider that as an attempted evasion or not, and so I think that it's kind of a dicey proposition.
The problem is when it's anything to do with Google, you can't actually speak to a living human being about anything. Which is one of the most infuriating things about having to deal with them is, whether it's for YouTube or whether it's for, Google searches or whatnot, you can't, everything is algorithmic. You can't actually, unless you hit a certain threshold and you get like a YouTube rep or something like that, you can't actually talk to anybody there.
Yeah, and that's something that is becoming a problem in other spaces as well. As everything goes agentic, this is one of the downsides of the AI proliferation that we've been talking about a little bit. So, wanted to touch on that at the top of the show tonight, just because we love those guys over there, and if you guys are fans as well, throw them some support. I know they
Please.
could use it. If you guys want to reach out to YouTube, make sure that you're doing it in a respectful manner. Let them know that they've made a mistake and that this is something that they need to address without relying on AI to make a determination here. This is clearly a mistake. Those guys provide an important resource on YouTube, and we want to let them know that we would like to see them reinstated. That we're supportive of these guys, and they're not some of the bad guys that need to be pulled down. So.
Right, and look, I'm probably closer to this situation than a lot of people within our organization, because I'm a regular panelist on Midnight's Edge in the morning every single week, and I can tell you guys without a shadow of a doubt, these are good people. These are good, talented, wonderful people who are deserving of support. 100%.
Without question. So make sure that you give some love and support to those guys, and hopefully they'll correct this mistake sometime in the near future. So anyway, we do have some news stories to cover tonight. Before we do that, we'll get to our first super chat of the evening. That's coming from our wonderful wrench Juliet for 2 British pounds sterling, or as Marvin would say, proper money.
Mm-hmm.
Morning Late Night Live with Lorn and Apollo, and good evening to you too, Juliet. Hope you're doing well out there. You always do a fantastic job modding for us. We're happy to see you. Our first story of the night is Duffers admit to prioritizing Will coming out scene in Stranger Things. More than any other in the show's history.
Yeah,
so,
basically they said that this is the scene they put the most work in out of every scene they've ever done in 7 years, 5 seasons of this show. This is the thing they cared the most about.
Yeah, and as we get into the article, you go into why. I think that's the most interesting part of the article. Do you want to read this, or do you want to just talk about it? Because I know that you've been.
I'll let you read it. I like hearing you read my words back to me.
All right. If there was ever any doubt about where modern Hollywood's priorities actually lie, the Duffer Brothers' recent comments on the Stranger Things.
Wait, was that supposed to be my accent? Because that was like.
That's a little white on the Canadian Bane.
Yeah, it was like Canadian Bane mixed with like a cowboy.
What do I need? Do I need to get more nasal? Is that how it works?
I don't think my voice is very nasal. I
don't think my voice is very nasal.
Oh, this is great.
You want me to read it still?
Son of a gun.
All right, fine. I'll play it straight.
The Duffers didn't, so.
If there was ever any doubt about where modern Hollywood's priorities actually lie, the Duffer Brothers' recent comments on the Stranger Things Will coming out scene in Season 5 just erased it. According to the show's creators, more time, caution, and creative energy went into crafting Will's coming out moment than into resolving the literal end-of-the-world storyline the series has spent years building towards. Not Vecna, not the collapsing realities, not the fate of Hawkins, or humanity itself. That alone should tell fans everything they need to know. Season 5 of Stranger Things is supposed to be the culmination of nearly a decade of storytelling. This is the payoff season, the one that answers the mysteries, resolves the threats, and brings the characters' journeys to a meaningful close. Instead, the narrative of Stranger Things slams on the brakes in the penultimate stretch to delicately and reverently stage the controversial Will scene. The plot doesn't just pause, it politely steps aside. That creative decision is revealing. In a genre built on momentum, tension, and escalation, the most cautiously handled moment isn't a supernatural apocalypse. It's a teenager talking about his sexuality. The creators have openly acknowledged that they were unusually anxious about how this moment would be received. Not just by audiences, but by the actor himself. That level of concern was not applied to any other storyline, including ones involving death, existential horror, or irreversible consequences. And the contrast matters. This wasn't just another character beat. It was treated as a cultural landmine, one that required extraordinary care, endless revision, and emotional insulation. That tells us the scene wasn't driven purely by narrative necessity, but by fear of backlash. Not fan backlash, but media backlash.
Right. They were not worried that people were going to push back on the fact that they did it. I read this as they were worried about the activist backlash if they didn't handle it like with the revere and respect that these people think that because people have been obsessing about this boy's sexuality for years. Noah Schnapp has said since he was 12 years old, the Hollywood media has been hounding him about his sexuality.
I have a theory about this, and I'm not really sure how to talk about it. And part of it is because my memory's a little bit fuzzy. It's been a while since I have watched the early seasons of Stranger Things, so I may be remembering some things incorrectly.
I watched it recently, so I can help out.
I remember when... I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened in season 1, when I think it was Will was... He had run to a shed and was locked in there when something was prowling around.
The Demogorgon was coming after him.
Which is what it seemed to be. And I remember a pistol being fired, but there was some interesting... The way they covered the scene was interesting, because they cut and they went away. And there are things that tie in as well from last season with the introduction of Vecna. And I know that they're saying that the conclusion is supposed to have some kind of a tie between Vecna and this character.
Well, yeah.
And so, depending on whether they want to delve into trauma, if this is all just his imagination as a coping mechanism for dealing with a traumatic event, this could go to a really dark place.
They'll never frame it like that. I mean, it is a... I think that we as the audience can see it as that, but it will never be framed. It will be... I guarantee you that the emotional connection between the two of them is going to come out to be like, Vecna's also gay. And just never admitted it, which is why he's a monster. And like they've been hinting at that. So
that would be the better way to handle it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm buckled up for this tomorrow, because it's going to be absolutely insane, I think.
So are you actually going to see this theatrically, or are you just going to stream it?
No. You know what? The theaters were all sold out around me. And I was at first really upset about that because I really wanted to go. And then after these 3 episodes, I'm like, oh, thank God those theaters were sold out, because now, like, to get me to actually want to leave the house and be around people, it takes me really wanting to see something. So, yeah, it's not happening.
Well, we talked about the obsession with his identity already, so we can kind of skip over that. Here's the core problem with the Stranger Things Will scene. It was elevated above the story itself. Season 5 features collapsing dimensions, looming annihilation, and long-promised answers to mysteries that define the show's success. Yet none of those demanded the same level of care or scrutiny as this one scene. That sends a clear message. In modern entertainment, some themes are more important than coherence, pacing, or payoff. Not because they serve the story, but because mishandling them carries social consequences, and fans feel that imbalance immediately. Unsurprisingly, backlash to Season 5 has already been dismissed in some circles as review bombing. That's the industry's favorite shield, one that conveniently avoids engaging with real criticism about writing structure and tone. But audiences aren't reacting because a character came out. They're reacting because the show bent over backwards to spotlight one moment while letting the rest of the season unravel around it. Viewers can tell when a story stops feeling organic and starts feeling curated.
But I have always said about writing, when you are trying to write a character, they take on a life of their own. And when you try to make that character do something that is unnatural, that is not something that should be happening within the confines of the story, when you try to shoehorn something into the story that doesn't naturally flow, you as a writer can feel it, but the audience can feel it even more, which is why it is so important to let the characters drive when you write.
I agree with that, but that leads to a question, because even in the first season, they hinted that Will was potentially not interested in girls. That's been a story plot point since the very beginning, and they only increased that as the series went on.
To be fair, in the first season, it was like Like, oh, his father thinks that he is because he's not normal, because he doesn't like sports, because he likes Dungeons and Dragons. And then it kind of snowballed from there. Then there was a line in season 3 where like the boys are like obsessing about their girlfriends, and Will just wants them all to play D&D, and he gets in a fight with Mike about it, and Mike goes, "It's not my fault that you don't like girls."
Yep.
And Will looks hurt by it, and Mike has this face on him like, "Oh gosh, what did I just do?" Like, so that to me says this cat was already out of the bag. Like, Will already knows it, we already know it, Mike already knows it. And I guess we decided that wasn't it. And I saw all like the rainbow activists come out of the woodwork to be like, no, that's not enough. You have to expressly state it. And well, we're seeing the backlash to that right now. The review scores are all tanking.
Well, this kind of gets into this last part of the article. I want to read that, and then I want to get your take on something, because I'm curious about what you think.
Sure.
It says, the most revealing part of this entire situation isn't what happened on screen, it's what happened behind it. When creators admit they spend more time worrying about one culturally sensitive scene than about concluding a massive supernatural saga, they're admitting where the real danger lies in Hollywood today. It's not monsters, it's not bad endings, it's not even disappointing fans. It's stepping out of ideological line. And Stranger Things Season 5 will be remembered less for how it ended, and more for what it prioritized when it mattered most. So, I think what we may have here is a case of an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail.
Mm-hmm.
And this touches on both real life and the fictional universe in a sense, because they wrote that early season hinting that this character could be queer. Could be. Now, you've mentioned many times that they focused on Noah's actual sexuality in real life for quite some time. So you run into a nature or nurture.
Are you the gayest kid ever?
You end up getting into kind of a nature versus nurture conversation there, and at some point Noah actually did come out as gay. So there's that question. Then there's the question about how much of this did the Duffer Brothers already have figured out plot-wise beforehand, and how much was more like a J.J. Abrams mystery box, as I was contending last night. And then the question becomes, given Noah's actual sexuality, was this something that he was pushing for to make a focus and they altered plans? Or was this the plan from the very beginning? What's your sense?
I don't think it was the plan from the very beginning. I think in season 3, when they said what they said with it's not my fault you don't like girls, I think that was it. And I think that they listened to the activists. And I think that right now we are seeing. So they did not have everything planned from the beginning. They've admitted this. Vecna was not a consideration when they started creating this. They had the idea that maybe there might be a bigger bad out there that's kind of controlling everything, but they did not have it fleshed out as like, oh, well, no, this is actually this character. That is actually controlling it. They knew that one from the Hawkins lab was going to be something in the future, but they didn't have it all planned out. I think a lot of this is flying by the seat of their pants. It was a lot of, we don't know how long we're going to get picked up for. We don't know how successful this is going to be. I think that what they said in season 3 was supposed to be it. I think that it was like, okay, that's enough. That's typically, and they actually had Robin come out in season 3. Like, she comes out in a very like quiet character moment where it's just her and Steve. So, yeah, I think that this was a matter of caving to the media pressure. I think maybe Netflix could have pressured them into something when it comes to this. I think that this was not the plan and they had to shoehorn it in. After listening to the actor talk, I don't know if it's him specifically, but I think this was not the plan from the very beginning.
So you're more in my camp thinking that this is more of a J.J. Abrams situation where they set up mysteries that they didn't yet have the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a shame, because I have not been as dialed in on Stranger Things as a lot of people are, but I liked the show. I've really enjoyed the show, although I felt that the last season, it was starting to drift. It got to a point where it's like, I'm not sure that I'm enjoying this as much as I had before. And a lot of that had to do with the pizza dude who just drove me nuts in the last season.
Oh, by the way, I'm not like upset that he's not in this season, but I'm shocked that he's not in this season. Because
he's not.
He's not. They brought back everyone but him.
Well, they had separated everybody too, and it felt to me like the chemistry of the show had taken a dive when they did that. I thought that was a narrative mistake.
Well, this show is obsessed with its characters and just collecting characters. The Duffers have said in interviews in the past that they are like addicted to creating new characters for the show, and that they were trying very hard to not create a whole bunch of new characters for season 5 so that we can focus on the core. Well, that didn't happen because there are a ton of new characters in season 5, all of which have more screen time than our main characters. So I think that they have a lot. They are very ADHD when it comes to their writing. Like, they get a new idea and they chase it instead of sticking to, which, there is something to be said for that style of writing. Whether you're what we call a planner or a pantser, right? The planner will plan on everything meticulously and stick to the script. The pantser will just fly by the seat of their pants and write as they go. There are benefits to being both. I find that, much like most things in this world, and this is coming from somebody who made his living for many years as a ghostwriter who wrote over 30 novels, you can't you have to find it somewhere in the middle. You have to have an outline, but you have to be flexible enough to change it when things don't go the way you want it to go.
So I know you've been disappointed in this season. Forget about this scene. Forget about it for a minute. Mm-hmm. Is there any way they can pull this out with an epic ending? No way.
I liked volume 1. So the first 4 episodes, I didn't like all of the, but they ended amazingly with Will getting powers, with Will, breaking 3 demogorgons with the power of his mind, basically. And like, there's that scene of him with like the pure white eyes, with the hand extended out like this, with the look on his face. And it's like one of the most like cool scenes you could possibly see. And then you juxtapose that with the end of volume 2 of him crying with the I don't like girls at the bottom of it, and it is just night and day. The highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And it's not like, there's so much more wrong, and I cover it in my review over on M4 Empire. Pretty much everything I find wrong. The Nancy and Jonathan stuff all goes nowhere. The characters stop in the middle of tense situations to have 5-minute long monologues, to the point where you're screaming at the TV to get moving because like you're being chased by a monster. 11 and Hopper are completely useless. There's so many characters that should have been jettisoned years ago.
This feels to me like they need to cut together the scene as like from Mark Ruffalo from the Avengers movie. Just do it with Will, where it's like, that's my superpower, Cap. I'm always gay.
Yeah, I'm always gay. I'm telling you, his gayness is going to come into how they defeat Vecna in the end of it, and it's good. I really think that Vecna is going to end up being gay too, because the actor that plays Vecna is like the gayest human being on the planet.
Yeah, and you get that vibe from him in the previous season, and then that's where a lot of his discontent came from. Trish, have you watched this show? Because this feels like a show that would be up your alley.
It does feel like a Trish show.
I know, and everyone has told me that, and I've done a very me lately thing. Well, I mean, this was a while ago, but I was like, okay, enough people are telling me to watch this thing. I'm going to turn it on. It turns it on, and I got like 3 seconds into it, and I got distracted, and I never went back. And
shiny object.
Yeah, like it was something pulled me away, and then I was like, I'm not gonna watch this right now. And then I just never turned it back on. And I always kind of felt like, oh, people talk about this. And I know it's like very 80s, which does appeal to me. But I gotta be honest, everything everyone's talking about right now, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it now in retrospect, because I think I would have been irritated that another show that I liked.
If this was 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, Trish, you have to watch it. You'd love it. You have to watch it. You're really going to enjoy it. And now you would have been, if you had gotten emotionally invested in this, your reactions to the last 3 episodes, I think, would have made mine look tame.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You would have been I think I've known you long enough to know you would have been infuriated by the choices they've made.
I think that's likely true, because it's like, I love this show. So does my son. My son is totally into this show. And It's like I loved the first 3 seasons. I thought were fantastic. I loved the first 3.
Yeah, I even like the mall scene, which is the one that everyone kind of dumps on. That's season 3.
That was my favorite, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was good. I liked that they were like anti-communist in it. Like, you know, they kept talking about the evils of the commies, and I'm just like, oh, this is refreshing from a Hollywood show.
It was fun. It was kind of a throwback, and then season 4, it felt like it narratively drifted, and again, separating the main characters for the entire season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like you said, introducing other characters. It's like, where are we going? Can we get there?
Here's the thing, Lorn, is I think that a lot of times these projects get started with the best of intentions, with a creative spark and a good story and like an idea that we're gonna tell a great story and entertain the people. But when something becomes too culturally relevant, a certain activist sector of the populace decides that it needs to belong to them, and that's what happened with this show. It's how many times do you hear it? How many times, like when like something gets big, when something blows up, it's like this character is a queer icon.
Well, conversely to that, I think you're right, but also you never know when something's going to hit. And I feel like this is a little bit about what got George R.R. Martin in trouble, too, is that when he felt like he was getting away with something, when he was writing this big epic and nobody really knew what he was doing, his creative output was phenomenal.
Yep.
But as soon as it blew up and everybody's eyes were on him, I think the pressure, and especially after they reacted badly when they ran out of material and they had to make up their own stuff and everybody hated it, I think it killed his ability to continue to write. And I think something like that may be happening here, where they wrote this little show. It was a passion project, but it became a cultural phenomenon. And I think that also played into why it took so long to put this show out. There's multiple years between seasons, and that's also not usual.
Between seasons 4 and 5, they were like 2 years. Yeah. It's no, you're 100% right, but it becomes, now all of a sudden major studio it's like look at like perfect example, right? DC, Warner Brothers. The Warner Brothers animated films for DC are great. I mean, Batman Begins, Return of the Joker, Justice League War. Like, there's so many great animated films because Warner Brothers doesn't pay attention to it. And the creative people are allowed to create. But then once you start attaching $300 million and James Gunn and big movie stars to these things, now all of a sudden the WB executives are like, hold on, guys. Let us tell you how you're going to do this.
Like what happened with Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
On the CW, they paid no attention to that show, and it was beautifully bug nuts because no one cared what they did.
Yep.
Mike is saying here, he still writes, just not the story we want, Lord. And yeah, I know. Look, but one of the things that I have said to Marvin before is that I think the reason why is that he gave his outline notes to Benioff and Weiss. And they were pissed off that they didn't have full material to work with, so they just put something together slapdash that probably isn't what Martin would have done, but hit the story beats he wanted to hit. And it botched it, and the audience rejected it. So now George has got to write something different, and I think that his characters are telling him, that's not what I would do. And as an author, I think that's what kills your ability to write it, is because you know in your heart, this isn't what I want to write. This isn't what I intended. And if that's not what I wanted for these characters, I can't write it. But he feels like he has to do something different.
And let me tell you, there is nothing more personal to a creator than their characters. They are a piece of them. Even if they're wildly different from them, they are a part of them. And when somebody else comes in and tells you that you have to do something different and the characters are telling you, no, this is what I want to do, it is hard. And that's why I get frustrated with George R.R. Martin too, but I understand creative burnout. I understand wanting to try other things and do other things and not be pigeonholed into this one thing. That being said, it's 2 more books, dude. Just get them out of the way. Like, come on, man. Like, just do it. It's not like they're wanting you to do this for the rest of your career. Like, you're not a young man. Get this out of the way and then do what you want to do. But because you have to also serve the audience. So I understand.
I see William Schweikert is also asking, are we going to be doing the M4 Empire show on Thursday?
Okay, we're figuring that out, William. I got your message, and I didn't want to answer until I know for sure. So we're figuring it out.
Yep. We do have some additional super chats. One is from Chef Eddie for $5. Marvin. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have read this.
Well, the answer is a big resounding fat no. So it's never happening.
Sorry about that. That was supposed to be a surprise. Then
no
surprise.
They're joking because, girl, I love you dearly like my own blood, but I am not paying $500 for some drunk to fall over himself and read exactly what I do.
I can't believe you don't think it's worth it.
Listen, Trish. I just want to tell you that Ric Flair is gay. Wait, what? Because he just reads whatever it is. He's Ron Burgundy. Like, he will read whatever it is you put on that thing.
I mean, technically, I haven't met the man, so, it's
Did
not
you really?
like... Yeah, he had a signing in the mall, and I circumvented
What was
the
that
system.
like?
I mean, it was quick.
It was a different Ric Flair back then.
Yeah, it was interesting. Whenever it's something wrestling, I am generally in a minority, being female. So, I kind of learned to roll with the punches with that. I think it was a little noticed that there was a woman there by Ric Flair. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything weird, but he definitely was like, a woman. No, but Kevin does joke about how my autograph is better than his. Because it is, because he wrote like another 3 things on it. So yeah, and he has like his hands are like, when someone has hands, you call them mitts. Like, that's Ric Flair's hands.
Really? I never would have guessed that.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm small, but still.
Archer Merchant for 2. This is becoming the new "I like turtles" meme. I don't know what that was related to.
I think it's the "I don't like girls." Because it's so everywhere.
Yep, makes sense.
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
O2RR for $4.99. Could we make it a super chat goal to have Culture Casino soak jalapenos and whole milk and have him make that into an appetizer on live stream?
Not on. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's have him do that, because I don't think he's right.
I actually think he is. I think that would work.
Maybe if you poked holes in the jalapenos.
Well, here's the thing.
The milk has got to hit the seeds in order to dilute them. Like,
well, I would, yeah, but I mean, they tell you, like, if you're going to eat like roasted jalapenos and you haven't taken the seeds out, that it's milk that's going to quell that, and I think it's because it does neutralize the capsaicin. So I think there's a chemical reason why it would work. Now, the question, I think, would be, how long do you have to soak it? That's probably an important question to answer.
Well, and then the other thing is, like, do you really want to eat milky jalapeno peppers? Like,
well, I'm sure you pat them dry and everything. I don't think
it's like instead of cereal in the morning, you just pour some jalapeno peppers into a bowl and then pour some milk into it and go to town.
You're a monster.
Yes, he is.
That's what they say. Never claimed to be otherwise.
Packing Protons for 5. Not cinema history, but TV history. Vegeta, hands down, goes from eating his enemies to changing diapers as a family man.
Yeah, I have that on my list. We'll talk about.
Don't worry, Packing Protons. My list is majorly TV related. There's a handful of movies, but yeah, I represent TV.
Yeah, mine is mostly TV as well, actually.
I think there's one person we both have on our list. I'm very, very certain we do.
100%.
Yeah.
I do want to ask Marvin. I tried to reach out to Kevin in our back channels. Have you heard anything from him?
I have not. No.
Okay. All right. I was talking to him earlier, so I thought that he was going to be here.
I was too, and he had told me earlier in the day he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it.
Oh, okay.
He told me at some point he wasn't feeling well. So.
Well, he's really sick.
I know.
Oh, so he's still fighting it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably it then.
He could be asleep, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. So like he got sick, and then that somehow turned into like the sinus infection from hell.
Okay. Yeah, as it is, he has a little trouble with breathing through his nose and his sinuses. So I'm sure it just absolutely obliterated them.
Yeah, we had to actually end the show early a week ago because he was not going to make it. He was in bad shape even then.
Poor guy.
Yeah. All right, our next story up is similar. Hollywood media runs cover for Stranger Things with claims of review bombing. Again, we discussed this a little bit last night. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this because we already know what the story is. My take on this last night was, look, I'm willing to give you review bombing if you'll give us bot boosting. What's your take?
So that's the thing. IGN just put out this thing that infuriated me today. I'm actually writing about it for Geeks and Gamers tomorrow, where they said they were like, oh, these horrible review bombers. But don't worry, there's like gallant heroes riding in to flood it with 5-star reviews. I'm like, how is that any different than what you're accusing the other side
It's
of?
not.
You're artificially inflating.
I think, too, any kind of thing like a review bombing or some weird little movement like that, it tends to be specific. Like, again, me and music, but however many years ago, whatever year it was that they got in, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame lets you, as a fan, have like a vote, and then all the fans have like one ballot. And there was one time a voting controversy. And if you had to guess what band it would be, would you guess it was for the band Chicago? Because I would not.
I would
and
not.
Yet that is the band that it surrounded. So it's like they try to apply it to all of these things. And I think it's a very specific type of action by a very specific type of fan of a very specific type of thing. Like it's not everything all the time has everybody doing this. It's a unique type of thing. I know Lorn's face is hysterical. You still trying to wrap your head around the fact that it was for Chicago?
So was the controversy that they thought that it was just a manufactured write-in campaign?
Yeah, because like what it is like there's an online ballot and you're supposed to pick like 5 and you get one a day that you can do. And I don't know if they had computerized. I think it was something like that. So it was just a bunch of bots, I suppose, sending in these ballots that all had Chicago on them. And so what that does is the top 5 that cumulatively have votes get on that ballot. So they were doing everything in their power to get Chicago as like the top act on the ballot for the fans. So it would be like put in there, which doesn't necessarily determine them getting in or not, but it doesn't hurt.
It just makes sure they get on the ballot, but that shoves somebody out who might otherwise have been there.
It's like what is it? It's the level before you hear the nominees. Like it's the really long list of like 12 of them, and then they narrow them down. So it's like it was fascinating, and I just remember sitting there going,
well, if it's bots, that's one thing. But if it was just like people that were like fans that were writing,
I think it was like one of those
organizing.
I think it was like they were organizing it. Like it had to stem from somewhere. You know what I mean? So I think
if you're organizing fans of the band to write in and vote for the band,
that's not so bad. That's grassroots though.
That's still just fans voting.
Yeah, like, it was definitely like they suspected there was invalid voting methods being used, but they couldn't prove it, so they couldn't invalidate the votes.
I'll give you review bombing if it's like the movie's not out yet and there's 1,000 negative reviews already, because that has happened in the past.
It's also that when these campaigns take place, they're almost painfully obvious because most of the text is copy-pasted. You get 3 or 4 different templates, and everybody's following that same template, and usually on multiple comment sections in different sites. So it's not hard to figure out what the fake stuff is.
Right.
When people are being specific and relating it to something going on in their lives, that's a different thing. Now, on a somewhat unrelated note, one of the most irritating things that I've been seeing happen lately, and this is going to be another old guy thing because I'm talking about Facebook, is when you're scrolling through the Facebook feed, lately I see these things that look like they're heartwarming or interesting stories related to people, and it's this long multi-paragraph thing, and then you get 2 or 3 paragraphs in, and they talk about how they discovered this thing on the Temu store that solved this problem that they had, and it's like that is like infuriates me. That's Facebook, the same kind of thing. That's the same kind of thing, but it's more sophisticated.
Facebook is unusable now because of those things. Like I don't even look at it anymore.
I never had a Facebook.
You're probably smarter. The only reason, honestly, that I keep it is I use it because I find recipes on there, and I'll share them so I don't lose them, so I can go back and
I've
find
heard
them
that
when I want them.
before.
That's about the only thing I use it for anymore. But
there are apps now that you can like screen cap recipes, and they'll like save it for you, and they'll like put it in like a copy paste of it, like store it in the app. It's really interesting. And there's this thing on Temu, Lorn, that can help you with that.
it does drive me nuts. But anyway, we didn't need to spend a lot of time on this story. I kind of wanted to touch on it because
it's an infuriating shield that the media throws up whenever anything that they ideologically agree with is getting hammered for bad writing or storytelling. It's if people were so offended by a character being gay and were going to review bomb because of it, they'd have done it 2 seasons ago when Robin did it.
I'm a little surprised that they're still trying to trot out this defense, because I'm almost of the opinion that it's not necessarily about trying to boost the show anymore when they're making this defense. It's just outrage clicks on the site to get the advertising revenue.
And they're not even saying it in like, well, this could be review bombing. Some people claim it's review bombing. They're saying it's review bombing. Variety states it as an objective fact that it's being review bombed. IGN does the same thing, says it's being review bombed. And I'm just like, guys, like, you don't know that it's being review bombed.
It's projection, because it's what they do to get positive reviews, and they know it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our next one up is, again, Stranger Things. They talk the finale deaths and insist that they won't shock fans Red Wedding style.
The funniest thing about this story, by the way, is the fact that they keep insisting this is not Game of Thrones, and everyone's just like, you could have fooled us with how with how the quality has dipped in the last season. Like, they walked right into that one.
Well, this is the one that you were talking about that was an awesome scene, and I got to admit, that looks awesome. It
was so cool. Like, it was beyond cool. Like, I like audibly cheered. It was like so good. And then like if you scroll down, you'll see the him crying image probably.
So like, is it just that right in the middle of the season they just did a total shift?
I think everyone assumed after this moment that when the show came back, he was going to be completely different. Like, he was going to be confident. He was going to be like basically like this just BA dark sorcerer, like, you know, just like running roughshod over people. And he wasn't. Like, he immediately just starts crying and gets kidnapped again. Like, it's just nothing changed.
As Stranger Things approaches its long-awaited conclusion, the central question surrounding the Season 5 finale isn't whether the Upside Down will be defeated. It's who, if anyone, is actually going to pay the ultimate price. Now the Stranger Things creators are weighing in on fan expectations of major deaths in Season 5. After nearly a decade on air, Netflix's flagship series is finally preparing to close the book on Hawkins. And yet, even at the finish line, the show's creators appear eager to manage expectations surrounding the fates of these characters. In an interview highlighted by IGN, co-creator Matt Duffer made it clear that viewers hoping for a shocking bloodbath are likely to be disappointed. It's not Game of Thrones. We're not in Westeros, he said. I love Game of Thrones, but it's just a very different type of show than that. There's not going to be a Red Wedding situation. Rather than embracing the brutal finality seen in other prestige dramas, the Duffer brothers are framing the Stranger Things finale as something softer. Emotional, inevitable, and carefully controlled. That's what you're talking about, isn't it? I think some things happen in the finale that are very surprising, but we're not trying to shock or upset anyone, Matt Duffer said. I hope by the time people get to the end of the finale that it just feels like there's something inevitable about what happens, and that it doesn't feel painful, but feels satisfying.
See what I mean?
That framing may reassure casual viewers, but for longtime fans, it also raises concerns that the show is once again pulling its punches, a criticism that has followed Stranger Things for several seasons now. No character embodies the show's death-fake reputation more than Steve Harrington. Perennially injured, constantly in danger, and endlessly speculated about, Steve remains the poster child for stakes that never quite land. Even Matt Duffer seemed to acknowledge the issue, albeit jokingly. But as for Steve's fate, I don't know. I can't say. It'd be the next logical step. He keeps getting beaten up more and more. The only way we could take it further is death.
They could not possibly kill Steve.
No, I don't think so either.
It would be like people would be so angry. Like, but then again, I'm also like, who can you kill? Because I don't think they kill any of the kids. And
I honestly think it would be a mistake to kill anyone because I think the show has to end with you seeing everybody in the modern day. I think that's where it has to end.
Maybe, I don't know, but you can't do you can't kill Hopper again because you already like gave us the Hopper death in season 3 and then rolled it back in season 4. So we've already experienced that emotion. So we're not going to feel it again the second time around. We've already watched him say the emotional goodbye to Joyce and to Elle. Like it's not going to happen again.
The only person I think that they could realistically possibly kill is honestly Joyce.
That's also not going to happen.
I don't think it would. I don't think it would make a huge impact. But it's.
I could see 11 maybe having to sacrifice herself or something like that. I mean, I wouldn't mind that because she's just terrible. And
wow, you got some strong feelings about 11.
She is terrible. She has not served a purpose on this show other than to show up and win in the last episode for several seasons now.
The laugh maybe
she is so powerful that they have to take her out of play for the entire season because she can solve the problems instantly. So we always get some contrived plot line where she's somewhere far away from everybody else and then shows up in the second to last episode to save the day.
Which is a huge reason why I didn't like the last season, yeah. The laugh may be telling. After multiple seasons of fake-outs, many viewers no longer believe the show will follow through. That skepticism has only intensified following controversy surrounding the penultimate episode, which abruptly halted the escalating endgame to spotlight a scene in which Will Byers comes out. The moment immediately sparked backlash, not because fans objected to the character's feelings, but because of when and how it was delivered. With Hawkins on the brink of collapse and Vecna looming, viewers were jarred by what many felt was a tonal derailment of the finale's momentum.
Now compare that image right there to the one at the top of the page. That's the one versus one.
You know, this is where a Snickers commercial should be inserted somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Critics argue the scene exemplifies a broader issue with late-stage Stranger Things, prioritizing messaging and moments over narrative urgency. Instead of escalating tension towards the final battle, the episode paused the story entirely, a choice that has since fueled declining audience scores and renewed criticism of the show's priorities. Despite the backlash, Netflix is positioning the finale as an event. Episode 8, titled The Right Side Up, runs a hefty 2 hours and 8 minutes and will screen in theaters nationwide simultaneously with its Netflix release. Ross Duffer even leaned into the emotional marketing. "If you don't mind crying in front of strangers, go," he said. That messaging reinforces the same theme. This ending is meant to move viewers, not challenge them.
You know what's funny? They've been asking the cast, like, oh, how do you feel about like the ending of the show? Do you like it? And their responses have been very similar to the way the Game of Thrones actors responded to those questions. Remember the Game of Thrones actors responding to those questions where they were all just kind of like, yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? The cast talking about the rise of Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
Those were some of the most uncomfortable interviews I think I ever saw.
Like if you're in a bad movie or a bad TV show, you know, right? Like nobody sat there on like the set of like, Batman and Robin and was like, we are making cinema here, folks.
Well, I don't know. Schumacher at the time might have thought so.
I don't know. I love hearing Schumacher talk about it now because he was like, yeah, that stunk. Like,
yeah, he learned. But at the time, he was, I remember the marketing push for it, and he was all in on it.
Well, because at the time, nobody was thinking about those movies as cinema. They were glorified toy commercials.
Yep. As the series closes, the lingering concern isn't whether Stranger Things will kill off characters. It's whether major deaths would even register after years of reversals, survivals, and emotional hedging. With creators openly assuring audiences there will be no red wedding, and with recent creative decisions already testing fan patience, the finale now faces a difficult task, convincing viewers that the stakes were real all along. Whether the show succeeds or simply fades out gently will be decided on New Year's Eve. I guess I have some curiosity as to whether you think the show even really exists at all. Is everything that we have seen just in the imagination of the kids?
Could you imagine, I think I said this on the pro show earlier. I was like, imagine like the final scene is it just cuts back to them like still the same age they were in the first season. This has all been a D&D campaign, and Will is just like, man, why did you do that whole like why'd you go with Lucas's whole idea to make me gay in the last arc? And he's like, dude, he rolled a 40. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah, and
you're the one that made my mom an action hero suddenly. Dude, I love your mom.
I think they are really walking a razor's edge here, and I think it's all because they didn't know what they wanted to do. I think this is J.J. Abrams all over again.
Yeah, I mean, J.J. Abrams is famous for, starting something and not knowing how to finish it. So, yeah, I think it very well might be that. Look, I say this ad nauseum about things. The most difficult thing in a story is to stick the landing, is to get the ending. And if you don't get it, then any rewatchability or rereadability is completely gone.
Yep.
Because people want to know that the destination is worth the journey. And, it's why, I can't enjoy Star Wars as much anymore, even older Star Wars, because I know it just leads to Jake Skywalker dying on a rock.
You got to compartmentalize some of that stuff, though.
I know. But
it's like I recently, I hadn't done anything Star Wars for a long time, but I started rereading a bunch of the old comics, and suddenly a bunch of those old feelings suddenly started coming back.
Yeah. So, you know what I think is a show that everyone can learn from, because it had the most perfect ending, and you can't not be satisfied by the ending of Cobra Kai.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
I know.
It had a final season where I was just like, man, you just everything was good. You gave me everything I needed.
Cobra Kai for me, I think, has been the most startling revelation in TV in the last 10 years, bar none. Up to what I saw anyway.
They even gave me a thing that I never knew I needed as a potential spinoff, that I'm like, please make this show. Is it a spoiler thing? It's not a huge spoiler. You see young Miyagi at one point.
Oh.
And the guy looks just like what a young Pat Morita would look like. And I was like, give me this show. Give me young Miyagi in Japan, and then coming to America, and then give me do a World War II season. Give me all of this. I'm I would fight someone for that. It would be so good.
I agree. Trish, you still there?
Yes. I have to click over to unmute because I'm like, clack, 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 clack. So I'm like, whenever you say that.
I like to surprise you every once in a while just to wake you up.
Trish, what did you think about the ending of Buffy? Do you think that stuck the landing?
Yeah, it didn't really bother me. I mean, I think a lot of it is whether or not you liked her with all of the potentials. If you liked that storyline to begin with,
which I did.
I think, but once you just kind of accept that that's the way things are, I didn't hate it. Well, it's just very dependent on how you feel about that, I guess. A
Joss Whedon ending is always, he only goes to an 11 when it comes to an ending, and it's just death, 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 death. I hate Anya's death at the end of Buffy.
I know you do.
Hate it. The blink if you miss it death.
Hated it. Yeah. The way they don't really show you it is kind of
no, they show you it, but it's
well, you know what I mean. It's
off to the side.
Yeah, it's come on. I mean, compared to Spike, who everyone knows I love, but it's that had a whole it had minutes.
Yeah,
going with it,
and then they instantly negated it on it.
For the better.
Right back. Took the noble sacrifice right back.
For the better, thank you.
Yes, for the better. I don't regret it.
All right, we got a few more super chats. We got from Packing Protons for 2. Challenge. How many blue potatoes can Marvin eat?
I don't eat things that are blue, so the world will never know.
Archer Merchant for 5. No one's going to want to, I think this is probably rewatch, not rematch, any of the Vecna tentacle scenes after Will's scene. This context took it too far for most, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it's best to just leave it at that.
Yep.
It's well said.
Archer Merchant for he did say rewatch.
Yeah.
Also, mentioning Game of Thrones finale tells me they knew.
Oh, that Game of Thrones finale, man.
So I had a number of stories that are lined up. We're actually running a little long with the stories, so I think maybe I'll just touch on a couple of these real quick. We don't have to spend a lot of time on them before we get to the story that I specifically wanted to get Trish's input on. The first, I've already shared this one. This one surprised me. I didn't know this was happening. CD Projekt has sold GOG back to its co-founder. A big step in video game preservation happened yesterday as CD Projekt sold GOG back to one of its founders, CD Projekt co-founder Michael Kaczynski. If you're unfamiliar with GOG, it's a subsidiary of CD Projekt devoted not just to preserving old video games, but making them fully accessible forever once purchased, unlike most downloaded games.
You mean a AAA studio is not interested in preserving the integrity of game ownership? I'm shocked.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe this may have been to protect it in case they wanted to spin off the studio for something else. GOG has been at the forefront of offering and preserving old games and making them available DRM free, which I heartily support. So I think this is great news. I just didn't know what was happening. Says CD Projekt began with the goal of making video games available in Poland. The company would acquire the rights to previously unavailable games, localize them, and make them playable in their home country. They eventually began making their own games through a studio they called CD Projekt Red, which is responsible for The Witcher and its sequels. Eventually, CD Projekt wanted to offer DRM-free versions of the games it had acquired and distributed in Poland, making the games free of interference and giving ownership to the customer who bought them. See why this is a good deal?
Mm-hmm.
To do this, they founded GOG, which stands for Good Old Games, to handle that aspect of their business. GOG eventually branched out into movie distribution, offering DRM-free films to its customers. Rumors of money trouble hit GOG in 2019, and when it launched the GOG preservation program to make more games available on modern systems, companies fought back, with Blizzard requesting that Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, and Warcraft 2 be removed from GOG's store. Now, GOG has broken away from CD Projekt and become an independent entity under co-founder and now owner Michael Kaczynski. The announcement on the GOG website's blog says that GOG will be doubling down on its core values of game preservation and giving its customers ownership of their games without DRM interference. As its own company, GOG will do more to preserve the classics of the past, celebrate standout games of today, and help shape the classics of tomorrow, including new games with real retro spirit. That includes making DRM-free games more central to GOG than ever. As for their existing customers, the announcement assures them that their library stays theirs to enjoy, with no changes to access or ownership, while they keep their GOG accounts. Meanwhile, GOG will maintain its relationship with CD Projekt Red, making their past and future games available on the GOG website. From there, GOG is planning even more ambitious rescue missions in 2026 and 2027, details of which will be forthcoming next year, along with some new community initiatives designed to give the community a stronger voice. In the blog post frequently asked questions section, GOG says that this deal was made so that CD Projekt Red could focus on developing new games, while GOG could keep long-term backing due to Michael Kaczynski owning the company. Meanwhile, GOG encourages its patrons to continue supporting the GOG preservation program to ensure more games are made available DRM-free. Anyway, that's the gist of the story, and I think this is actually really good news. I have really supported GOG for a long time because it is one place where you can find some games that are available nowhere else, and they offer them at reasonable price points, DRM-free. I think this is nothing but a good thing. Trish, what do you think?
I think it sounds fantastic.
I thought I was going to get you. Very good.
She was like on that.
Her finger was on the trigger. I like it. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, Marvin. I really wanted to go to Trish as the expert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me. That's me.
I cede my time back to Trish.
Well, I know you know a little bit about DRM, so I thought maybe you might have an opinion.
No, I mean, I don't know about this specifically, but anything that is better for the player / consumer, I'm for it, because it seems like more and more, especially in digital areas, we keep losing over and over. So This sounds like a small win. Just take it.
All right. Next story up is one that is a little bit heartbreaking for me. New James Bond game 007 First Light promises modern values. Claims old school Bond would be tone deaf today.
Don't do James Bond. Then what is the appeal of James Bond?
You know,
so dumb.
Lord,
I actually got.
You know what? I feel like we were fools with this one because you and I were so hyped for this game after that, and I'm like, how dare we?
The trailer looks great, and the gameplay looks great. I actually got. I got excited about this, and
if you didn't have 007 behind him in that photo, I would not look at that and be like, "Oh, that's James Bond in the new James Bond game."
You know what it reminded me of? When I was a kid, there was a toy line. I don't remember if it had a cartoon attached to it as well, but it probably did, but I don't remember watching it. But it had a toy line called James Bond Jr.
Oh,
and
that sounds familiar.
That was how I got into James Bond. Was I had all the James Bond Jr. action figures, and it was like a kid James Bond, like it was like a teenage James Bond. And instead of Q, you had IQ, which was like his nerdy friend who made all his gadgets and stuff like that. I loved it as a kid.
That should have been played by Ke Kwan.
Yeah, probably. He was white and blonde, though, not Asian.
Well, maybe, but I figure that he plays Data, so it makes sense that he would play IQ.
I knew where you were going with it.
Oh, Archer Merchant says there was a cartoon. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and find that.
The upcoming 007 First Light was ranked among the most anticipated video games of 2026. However, recent remarks from IO Interactive have raised concerns that the final product will be James Bond in name only.
Mm-hmm.
We reflect modern values, Cinematics director Martin Emborg told Monstervine. So it's not going to be your old school Bond, you jackass. Fans of the Bond character have followed the iconic spy for decades as he originally was. The womanizing, globe-trotting, cold-blooded killer who remained cool under pressure was never designed to be a role model, but he never failed to be interesting, in large part because he always ran counter to civilized society. Suggesting that an old-school Bond would be tone-deaf in this day, and granting permission to modernize him, may instead provide a license to kill interest. That's a great line.
I don't know if you heard about this, Lorn, but there's an entire mission where you have to break Greta Thunberg out of an Israeli prison.
Trevor did great with that line. That's one of my favorite lines he's written. That's good.
Yeah, that was a good line.
Emborg mentioned that Bond has evolved through the decades. While likely no one could disagree that the Bond in the novels is as unique as the different portrayals of the various actors who brought him to life in the movies, the character has generally remained the same. As film critic Christian Toto noted in the lead-up to 2021's No Time to Die, one reason Bond endures, both as a franchise and pop culture institution, is that he hasn't changed dramatically with the times. He added, Bond has built a core following since 1962. Why would any film studio, actress, or marketer try to distance itself from that fan base if not insult it directly?
I don't know. This has been the name of the game for a zillion franchises.
Well, it's like the thing is that I'm certain that one of the things that they're going to want to do is they're going to want to tame his womanizing, and that's what I think one of the big misdirects of the trailer is that they show gorgeous women in that trailer in tropical settings where you get the idea. It's like, oh, I know what's going to happen here, you know. So if he's a kinder, gentler Bond who is not womanizing, it's like, is it Bond?
Nope. It is no way Bond. It is. It's just sad. It's just another more AAA slop. Like it's, you know, at a time when AA and indie studios are making things like Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, this is what we're focusing on with other games. It is this infection in the gaming industry is not going away anytime soon.
Well, it's like you can tell from the trailer that they have a more diverse cast. And in this case, that doesn't bother me for Bond.
It didn't bother me either.
They've already done that in the movies, and they've changed races and genders of characters, and it's worked. You know, different interpretations in this universe can work. But if you're changing the fundamentals of the character himself, it's like, I actually think, for instance, Idris Elba is not a bad choice to play James Bond. I think he could make a really compelling Bond. But again, if he's not a cold-blooded killer, if he's not a womanizer, if he is not supporting the crown, he's not James Bond. Anyway, Grums was saying Bond game is dead. Some game devs have learned nothing. If you made old school Bond, it would stand out so much you would print money. But no, you have to reflect modern values for an audience that doesn't exist. It's like the modern audience is not going to have an interest in James Bond.
And you know what? Their quote-unquote modern audience is passé. Not modern anymore. The people they're talking about. It's like we've moved on beyond this. Even people who were maybe a little into it are over it. Like Read the Room. So it's not even modern anymore. It's like you're doing it for a passé thing at this point, on top of everything. Oh God, I'm not even a fan of this, and it's annoying.
But the lingering question is if it will be true to the Bond character. Right now, all signs indicate that it will not. As this is an officially licensed game, it suggests that this is how the character is being reshaped for all future projects, not just games, but also movies. Unfortunately, a soft and polished Bond, not the blunt instrument created by Ian Fleming, isn't interesting and isn't really Bond. Perhaps someday, James Bond will return. That's another good line. He's good. But look at the visuals. It's gorgeous. And it's like for the trailers, I love the way that this guy, who I think had played the younger Dexter in the Dexter series, I liked what I saw of his portrayal. And so I'm not even a James Bond fan. But this had me interested. It was like, okay, this looks like something that could get me into it, you know?
You know who's a huge James Bond fan? My wife is a huge James Bond fan.
Is she really? Wow.
Yeah, because her father was a big James Bond fan.
That makes sense.
She grew up watching all the movies. So she saw the trailer for this game and thought it looked really cool. I'm telling you, he's going to be. They're going to at least hint at bisexuality.
All right, so let's. I'm not going to say make a wager, but let's make a prediction. Let's say I think right now, if I remember right, I think the base version of the game is selling for $70. How long after release do you think they're going to have to drop the price?
Gosh, it depends. I mean, if they don't correct the statement that they made here, if they make any worse statements or double down, you may be looking at an Assassin's Creed Shadows situation. Then maybe the price goes down within 3 months.
I think it'll go quicker. I think they're going to have to drop it in a month to a month and a half.
It's possible.
The price is too high anyway.
It is. That's another reason why I think they're going to have to do it. Got a few more. We got Wild and Crazy Bear for 4. What's your New Year's resolution? I think I talked about this earlier. I don't make New Year's resolutions, so I don't have
Me
one.
neither.
Ooh, we're all boring. Well, sorry about that, Wild and Crazy Bear. Well, we'll try and come up with something for next.
My New Year's resolution is to make a New Year's resolution.
There you go. That
there
works.
You go.
Retromeister for 2. IOI has their own 007 game. It's called Hitman.
I think I've heard of that.
Chef Eddie for 5. You'll have Bond apologizing to Spectre at the end of the game in Mandarin, just like John Cena.
Did you guys hear John Cena on Joe Rogan however long ago kind of talk about that?
Didn't he say he'll never speak Mandarin again or something like that?
I don't know. He said that. He was ultimately he took responsibility for it, but he kind of explained everything that went on.
Yeah, I was actually kind of happy with his comments on it because he recognized that, he stepped in it. And
yeah, he did.
He was trying the way he put it.
I'm sure the movie studios told him he had to apologize.
Oh, no doubt.
He kind of framed it like he's the type of person that the second he realizes he kind of made a mistake or mucked something up, he immediately wants to fix it. So he was like, tell me what I need to do. I'll do it. And then they were basically like, say this. Essentially was how he kind of made it sound. So he just kind of went with everything to try to smooth things over. But then what happened was he just wound up compounding the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So I kind of understood it.
They didn't put the movie in theaters even after he debased himself.
I know.
He literally just humiliated himself publicly for no reason.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Our next story is the one that I thought that Trish might want to comment on. I don't know for sure, but here we go. Rumor. Pennywise coming to Halloween Horror Nights 2026.
I'm assuming this is because of that show.
It house rumors swirl, and yes, I assume so. Universal Studios guests may want to avoid following any paper sailboats down storm drains this October, as rumors are swirling that Pennywise is coming to next year's Halloween Horror Nights, which will feature a house based on the horror classic It. Halloween Horror Nights is an annual event held at Universal theme parks during the fall, featuring horror-themed attractions and activities. The festivities begin at night, with haunted houses decked out in various pop culture horror themes, scare zones where costume park employees give the guests a good fright, and various stage shows like a tribute to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Some of the park's rides are given a spooky makeover as well. It began as a novel by Stephen King, in which a malevolent entity stalked the town of Derry, Maine, devouring children every 27 years. It took many horrific forms, but its main guise was that of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, which is used to lure kids into trusting it before it revealed its monstrous nature. A group of 11-year-old kids called the Losers Club ran afoul of it in 1958, then returned to Derry as adults in 1985 for a final showdown with the evil force. Widely considered one of King's best books and a horror classic, It has been adapted twice. First as a TV miniseries in 1990 starring Tim Curry as It in its Pennywise form, and then as a pair of movies in 2017 and 2019 in which Bill Skarsgård played Pennywise. This year, HBO aired a prequel series called It, Welcome to Derry, that detailed previous visitations of the creature and delved into its lore using pieces of King's massive novel that weren't included in the movies or the 90s miniseries. Bill Skarsgård returned as Pennywise.
I didn't realize that Bill Skarsgård was in it. I guess I didn't really think about it.
Wait, and Welcome to Derry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If 2026's Halloween Horror Nights event does incorporate It, the most likely version it will tailor its attractions to is the one in the movies and It, Welcome to Derry. Mm-hmm. So expect Pennywise to look like Bill Skarsgård as you traverse the park. WDW News Today points out that while Warner Brothers currently owns the rights to It, Universal has licensed outside properties for Halloween Horror Nights before, such as Fallout in 2025, so an It haunted house is not out of the question. However, if you're excited to see Pennywise pop up at Halloween Horror Nights this year, it's important to note that this rumor is standing on very flimsy ground. The source seems to be the Instagram musings of theme park enthusiast JP Land 21, whose reasoning amounts to It, Welcome to Derry having aired recently, and that It is a very popular horror IP. In other words, this is mostly wishing and hoping right now.
Yeah, there's not a lot to this rumor.
No. But it would make sense. Like, I could see it being a thing they would do. It's sensible.
But it has caught on with Halloween Horror Nights fans to the extent that WDW News Today is talking about it. And an It haunted house at the next Halloween Horror Nights is as plausible as anything horror-related. If nothing else, Pennywise is a terrifying figure, and if Universal wants to scare the dickens out of its guests, Stephen King's most recognizable monster is the perfect guy to get it done. After all, we all float in Orlando.
Well done, Alex. We all float in Orlando redeemed him after the scare the dickens out of everything. But I look, as somebody who frequents Halloween Horror Nights every year, I could totally see this 100%. I don't think that. So the only thing that makes me think they might not do it this year, they just did Evil Clown this year with Terrifier. Uh-huh. And it wasn't just a house. Like, they had the house and it was a horrible experience. But Art the Clown was also like all over the event. Like, you would randomly see him like pop up in gift shops, or like he'd be like, he would just walk around and like cause random chaos.
Like, no pun intended. That's terrifying. No, thank you.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
But I guess the spin that I would take on it is that, yes, they just did Evil Clown, but there's lots of evil clowns, and it never really goes out of style. There are people that are truly freaked out by clowns. And I guess while the rumor itself is standing on flimsy ground, if it gains traction, does that signal to Universal that, hey, maybe this is something we want?
Oh, I would think it would.
The fascinating thing to me this past year at HHN was that normally Halloween Horror Nights has a like central host figure, like a featured character, and it's usually an original character. They did not do that this year. It was the first year they've never done it, and a lot of people think that Art the or the Icon, they call it the Icon of the year. A lot of people think that the unofficial icon this year was Art the Clown because he was everywhere. So it'd be the first time that an IP character became the icon.
So I gather, Trish, you have not seen It Welcome to Derry.
No, I loved It Chapter 1. I own It Chapter. I also own the miniseries because, come on, Tim Curry. It's a classic. Mm-hmm. But I'm not someone who sees things movie-wise, especially right away. And so I kind of just like chilled and I didn't see Chapter 2. And then I didn't hear great things about Chapter 2. It was like meh at best. And I liked Chapter 1 a lot, and I was kind of like, I don't want to ruin Chapter 1 by watching Chapter 2 and having it be just a letdown. So I never watched it, and then this series came out and I just kind of forgot it was a thing. But so in my head, everything I know about, like, I love it, but I don't know how much of that is because I kind of stopped when I stopped.
So, Marvin, have you seen It Welcome to Derry?
I have not. I haven't even seen.
I've heard it's good.
I've never seen any version of it.
Oh, really? Okay. So
I'm not averse to it. I would like to. I just never have.
I saw the 90s miniseries, and it was really good, or at least that's how I remember it. It's been since that time when it was actually airing on TV that I saw it, so it's possible that maybe it was better in my head than it actually was when it aired. But it did make an impression on me, and I thought it was a great show. I didn't see the movie versions, and I haven't seen the TV miniseries, but being as they were doing this miniseries and that they brought Bill Skarsgård back, I assumed the movies must have done well enough that they thought that it was going to be worthwhile to do it. So it must have been well received by the audience.
I know Chapter 1 was really popular. Like, I don't think I have a weird opinion by legitimately loving that movie, but I would assume so. Then Chapter 2 would have done well monetarily for sure, because everyone would have wanted to see it after liking Chapter 1. But I never heard that it was terrible. I just heard that it was kind of like 1 was so good and then 2 was just kind of like, and so it just kind of fell a little flat, I guess. And I have heard the miniseries is good though. Like, I've heard good things about it.
I assumed that you would be interested in this story because I've heard you talk about Halloween Horror Nights before, and so I assumed that this was something that you may have an interest in.
I think it's completely smart for them if they did that.
Is it an attraction that you would want to see? Would you be interested in it?
Yeah, that would be one I would go to if I went to it.
The haunted houses, particularly the IP houses that they do, are always so well done. I mean, you walk through and you're transported. You're suddenly standing in front of Michael Myers' house,
that's awesome.
While you're indoors, and the music is playing, and just these scenes are recreated just amazingly. And I can't say enough good things about these haunted houses. The Five Nights at Freddy's house that they had this past year was out of this world, and I've never even seen Five Nights at Freddy's, and I still loved it. And then they have the original houses as well, which are original stories that they do, and it's just awesome all around. It's my favorite event of the year.
Well, sweet. That's all I had a couple other stories, but I don't feel like they're really important enough to touch on, unless you wanted to talk about them. One was the Avengers Doomsday Thor trailer. The other was Bo DeMaio claiming that X-Men 97 inspired Avengers Doomsday Cyclops focus. But I'd
rather talk about that one with Kevin around, because I think Kevin would have good insight onto that one. But the Thor trailer, the only thing I have to say about that is they were trying to reassure the audience to such an extent that it might as well have said at the end, Thor will return in Avengers Doomsday, but Taika Waititi will not.
Yeah. And he has short hair. I cheered for the short hair.
He did have the short hair.
I was into it.
The only question that I had was, I didn't see Thor Love and Thunder. I kind of checked out of most of the Marvel stuff after they did Endgame. I watched Spider-Man. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think that was it. So him having a daughter surprised me. Was that something that came out of Love and Thunder?
Yeah, I mean, it's not his biological daughter.
He adopts her. It's the villain's daughter from Love and Thunder, and he adopts her at the end.
Oh, so it's not Jane's.
No.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nope.
Well,
It's Christian Bale's
the
daughter,
world or the God Eater? Is that
God
who he
Killer
was?
or
God
God
Yeah.
Killer.
Slayer
R-
or whatever he was.
Right. Okay. Well, that was all I had for stories. Our main topic for the night was kind of intended to tie into New Year's a little bit, despite the fact that none of us apparently make resolutions. Um, I thought it might be fun to talk about characters in TV or movies or the shows themselves that featured fantastic redemption arcs. I thought that would be a fun thing to talk about because those are when you get the most character development, especially when it's a surprise. I love it when you see a villain redeemed skillfully. And I thought we might get some interesting takes on those. I did get some from Kevin, so I'll be able to bring those up when we get to them. I didn't get any images from you, Marvin, but you said you did have a list.
I do.
So I've got a bunch of images here from Trish, so we'll do you first. I'll have to swap these in, so be patient with me, folks. I may be a little slow to get some of these done.
We'll do who first? Me first or Marv?
You first,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'll bring up the images. You just talk about them, the show, and why you think these are worthy redemption arcs. Because I
All
don't
right.
know a lot of these characters, so you
God, I'll probably be the only one.
go for
Okay.
it.
First up is my girl Gail Weathers from the Scream franchise, played by Courtney Cox. This is a shot from her in Scream 1. She starts off, she's this journalist, but she's not particularly high end, top tier journalism. She wants to be, and she's
Change that hairdo.
She does multiple times throughout the series. Scream 3 is a low light. But she goes through a whole story arc where at first it's just about the story. She doesn't care about people or anything like that. And then starting from the biggest part of Scream 1 and then just going through in the rest of the movies, she becomes someone who she still has her like investigative desires and things like that, but she is far more good with people, and she cares about people, and she forges these relationships. And it wasn't like she was a bad guy in the first movie, because she wasn't, but she was rude and a little difficult to be around. And by the end of it, you care about her as much as you care about Sydney. So she just goes through, she's absolutely like 1B to Sydney in this franchise, which is saying a lot. And shockingly, she's the only character that's been in all the movies. You would think it would be Neve Campbell, but the people didn't want to pay Neve Campbell for Scream 6. Don't get me started. And she just goes through an incredible thing where she's your hero as much as the supposed actual hero, in Sydney. So you can move on from her, but that's my girl. I know you two have not seen Scream, so... Okay, Marv, you can make fun of me a little bit, but I put Bucky Barnes on here. I'm sure
100%.
the audience completely gets why.
Yeah.
He's, I would argue that James Buchanan Barnes was never bad. He was a brainwashed person, but he goes from having to do all of this Winter Soldier stuff and now all the way to becoming a bona fide hero in the Thunderbolts. I specifically chose this picture to highlight one of the times that they absolutely alluded to Bucky being Captain America in the future.
My favorite line for him from a perspective of redemption is when Tony Stark says to him, "Do you even remember them?" And he says, "I remember all of them."
Mm-hmm. And it's like rough.
Yeah.
Rough when you realize that. Even though it's weird because they were wiping his memory, but
he's getting them.
Certain
He's
parts.
getting those memories. He's getting those. They're all coming back to him, I'm sure.
Like Celine Dion. But yeah, I mean, I don't have to go too far.
She hasn't had a redemption arc.
No.
Oh, that song's so great. But yeah, I don't have to go into too much depth with this one with this crowd. But yeah, definitely Bucky Barnes, one of my favorite redemption arcs. Okay, Marv.
Cross this one off my list, apparently.
You still get to talk about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you too. Just chime in with me. I don't want to be the only one yapping away. But obviously, for those who don't know, this is Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and season 5 of Angel. the best vampire in the series.
Okay, so you're wrong about that, but Spike's redemption arc is more triumphant than Angel's because it is sought out and not forced on him.
Yes.
So I 100% love his redemption arc. I love that in season 6, Spike goes out to you think he's going out to regain the ability to kill Buffy. And he's out there and he's going through these demon trials, and you're thinking he's trying to get like some power to be able to harm living things again. And then at the end, it just goes like, "You've succeeded very well. We will return your soul." And that's how the season ended, with him getting his soul back. And I remember screaming at the TV. So like he literally fought for his soul, and got it back. Which
he was always kind of the most human of all of them. Anyway, he was a vampire who never really lost all of his humanity.
My favorite was that, like, when he's first introduced, they say that, oh yeah, he was called William the Bloody, and you're thinking it's because he's like this like super bad vampire, and then you find out in a later season in a flashback that before he was a vampire, they called him William the Bloody because of his bloody awful poetry.
My favorite episode.
So I'll just comment, I haven't got a clue what either of you are talking about, because I never saw this series, but I want to call out James Marsters for 2 different reasons. One is because he played a great Brainiac in Smallville.
He did.
And the other is because he was the voice talent that was reading the novels of the Dresden Files for the audiobooks, and he liked them so much that he pitched to some Hollywood producers that they should turn these into a movie or TV series. And that's how the 1 season of the Dresden Files actually ended up getting created for the Sci-Fi Channel. So we owe that show, if you ever saw it, to James Marsters.
So James Marsters was in the Dragon Ball Evolution movie as Piccolo, and it's one of the worst movies ever made. And like, he knows it's one of the worst movies ever made. So he wanted to redeem himself to Dragon Ball fans. So he was cast as one of the main villains in Dragon Ball Super as Zamasu, but I don't think he was credited under his name because he wanted to redeem himself but not make a spectacle of it, which I think was just really funny.
Okay, and in the same vein, stop it. The reason you don't like her is because she had an arc. Stop it. I remember feeling like, oh, she became different. I'm like, it's called character growth, Marvin.
No, I get that. I enjoy character growth with characters like Fred, with characters like Willow.
You're awful.
She becomes insufferable.
You have awful Buffy opinions.
No, I have Buffy opinions.
No, you don't. Cordy's great. She starts off as like your typical, like, queen bee, snotty high school girl, and she moves over to Angel when the spinoff happens, and she grows into a genuine. She's never a bad person, and you see her starting to have that growth in Buffy, even though she inexplicably cares about Xander. Yeah. That's the one opinion with you I absolutely agree on.
To be fair, my opinions on Cordelia sour in season 3, which is, and then of course season 4 when she dares to get pregnant, so Joss writes her into oblivion.
I don't even count season 4. Yeah, Cordelia, to be honest with you.
She gets pregnant, and Joss Whedon gets so incensed by it that he writes the character into oblivion and kills her off. But I like Cordelia's redemption arc in the first few seasons of Angel, when now all of a sudden she's been so sheltered and so spoiled. Not only is she thrust into this world of being, poor and having to live hand to mouth and being a struggling actress, she also is given the visions from the powers that be that show her all of these people who are in trouble, and she's like exposed to just how terrible the world is. And when she looks at Angel at the end of season 1, when she gets all of the visions and she's like in the hospital because it just keeps going nonstop, and she's like, we have to help these people. Like, yeah. I do like that.
Yeah. And she just, a lot of these, because they're good arcs, you're taking people who had a lot of negative traits and became good. So it's like, it feels a little repetitive. It's like she became a hero for sure. And I like her with Angel better. He was more fun with Cordelia. He was happier with Cordelia.
They were never with each other, really.
You know what I mean. You know what I'm saying.
They never actually got together.
Like their chemistry.
I don't ship it.
Yeah, I ship it.
It was better with Nina the werewolf.
I liked Nina the werewolf.
Yeah, she was fun.
Yeah, she was all right. Okay, this is the first person that I thought of when you told me this topic. This is going to be a very difficult one for me to get through. This is Logan Echolls from Veronica Mars. Because we don't talk about stuff that I like very much, maybe some of you have a little bit of an idea. Love Veronica Mars. I love Veronica Mars. I rewatched it a zillion times. And when the movie came out, I went to the movie theater to see it. I own it. And then they made the Hulu season. And the Hulu season was fine. I was enjoying it. And then they went and did things, I won't spoil it, that absolutely I have not been able to go back and watch Veronica Mars. And it's because of Logan Echolls. He starts off as this rich kid, he's the kid of celebrities, and he's a jerk, and he's this and this, that. And then you find out kind of why he has these attitude problems and why he acts out the way that he does, and especially why he treats Veronica so poorly. And over the seasons, of which there were 3, the movie, and then that 4th season, you see him grow and become caring and mature and responsible. He joins, I want to say it's the Navy. It's been a minute since I've watched the movie. And you just see him become the person he always was underneath all of the damage that was done to him and all of the abuse that he got. And they made him into it was just such a beautiful growth arc that they had for him and his relationship with Veronica.
That reminds me, Lorn, that reminds me a lot of Star Wars. And I think we should talk about Star Wars right now.
I think we absolutely...
You are going to incense her so much.
I know. I know.
I know you kind of laugh when I say because we don't talk about, because we don't. So it's like all of a sudden I'm going to barf my enthusiasm for this series all over this stream.
No, go for it. That's part of why I wanted you...
I love hearing you get passionate about the stuff that you're passionate about.
It's hard because it is a mystery show. So it's like you don't want to say too much about things, but if you haven't seen it and you like mysteries, I would suggest watching it. Don't watch out of order. Absolutely watch everything in order, because not only are there mysteries of the week, but there's overarching mysteries for the seasons. And he is someone you think you're going to hate. Some people still hate him because nothing's universal, but you think you're going to absolutely despise this character. I think he wasn't supposed to stay, if I remember my Veronica Mars lore correctly. I think he was supposed to just kind of be like this antagonist for like the first episode or 2. And he just pops on the screen as the character, and his interplay with, so this is Jason Dohring is the actor. His interplay with Kristen Bell is so good, and their chemistry is so strong that it was kind of like, I guess, a Spike where he was like, you weren't going to deny this person and this character, and he becomes so integral to the series. And yeah, this was the first person I thought of. They did a wonderful job with it, considering I don't think he was supposed to stay for as long as he did.
This next one, weirdly, I actually do have some knowledge of.
Okay. Yes! Jess Mariano from Gilmore Girls!
I can't claim to be an expert, but my ex used to love this series, and I actually thought it was pretty good. So
Marv and I love Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, it is if people ask like Marv, what's your guilty pleasure? It's like it's Gilmore Girls.
Love Gilmore Girls.
I love this show so much, and I love this character. This is my favorite character on the show.
Okay, no, I wouldn't go that far, because when he shows up, he is so annoying. It's
called an arc, Trish. You have to start from somewhere to go somewhere.
Well, I love Jess now because I appreciate a good character arc, Marvin.
And you would not like him as much now if it wasn't for the fact that he started where he started, and
but that does not a favorite character make.
He's just an angry young man.
He is an angry young man, and he's a terrible boyfriend to Rory. And
he's awful to her, yeah.
He runs away, he leaves, and each time he pops...
Logan, but...
Oh, no, don't start with me.
I'm just saying.
Don't start with me. No, you're only saying that because he's rich. That's the only reason why you're saying that. I won't. I will defend Logan. Don't go another Logan. I watch a lot of shows and things with Logans in them. Anyway, every time he pops back in, he's subsequently like more mature. And then by the time you get to, this is a shot from A Year in the Life, which was on Netflix. By the time you get to this, like literally they're trying to angle that he's going to get with Rory, because they're trying to set up this parallel of Luke and Christopher for Lorelai, and then Jess and Logan for Rory. And I was sitting there going, he's too good for her. By the end of the show, and I was literally saying he's too good for her.
He is 100% too good for her by the end of the show. I 100% agree.
That's like, so this is coming from me who couldn't stand him when he first showed up, that by the time they were at the end, at least as it stands right now, of everything, I'm like, he's too good for her. So yeah, he matures and he becomes slightly more happy. I mean, it's Milo Ventimiglia. He doesn't have a tendency to play super chirpy happy characters to begin with.
There's one episode with him that I can't even watch because it's so cringy. Is the one where she takes him to Emily and Richard's house for Sunday dinner.
Ridiculous.
He's ridiculous. I'm like, Jess, what are you doing?
No, he's being obnoxious.
Yeah, like purposely being obnoxious.
Yeah. Oh, because they're wealthy and I'm a rebel renegade. Oh, he's so annoying. So yes, he has see how I'm reacting, because I'm looking at Lorn's face. See how I'm reacting to him here? For me to be like,
this is why I wanted you on this show. I thought this would be the perfect show to have Trish on, because I knew I was going to give you an opportunity to do this, to talk about all the things that you are passionate about, because you don't often get to do that.
I really don't. And so now everyone's going to be like, oh my God, shut up, Trish.
No, this is the best thing. It's like I was trying to tell you when we were talking about this in the background. It's not just that we're exposing people to great stories and writing that have great character arcs. People are also interested in what makes us tick and why we like it. And so hearing that passion and enthusiasm is important. It's part of what makes doing this fun.
When Jess shows up, he is one of like the worst people on the show, but he is not the worst person on the show, because the worst human being.
You're gonna say it's Lorelai, aren't you?
Is Lorelai Gilmore?
No, it's not.
The worst person on the planet. Like she is terrible. No. Like your daughter is going to this school. Like, don't date the teacher. You have the option to not date her teacher, Lorelai.
It's a lesson. She has to learn.
You know what? You're the mom. Stop learning lessons.
She had a child at 16. You know,
that's your great pitch, Marvin.
Yeah.
It's like this all about character arcs and growth. It's like, no, stop learning.
Yeah. No, like her daughter is going to this school where like one little thing with all of these like crazy rich kids is going to literally ruin her life at this school. And the first thing that she does is shack up with her teacher.
Actually, this is making me think, you know who else has a pretty good arc in this show? Paris.
Yes, I love Paris.
I just thought it's a schoolmate of Rory.
Because she's also terrible in the beginning.
She's terrible, and she doesn't really change. She just becomes a little softer.
Yeah, she's terrible until that like first episode where Rory like takes Paris and like her two like bubbly friends out to like a concert, and the two friends like ditch. And and like her and Paris kind of like have a moment there, yeah.
You see the seeds of it beginning, but yeah, I'll include Paris. We don't have a photo of her, but
yeah,
I'll include Paris too.
Do you think that Tristan would have had a redemption arc? Like, I feel
yes.
like Logan was the replacement Tristan.
Yes, but I would say that I prefer the way that it turned out.
Yeah, I don't like Tristan is so much worse.
Which is actually a good segue, potentially, depending on who you're bringing up, Lorn. I'm not sure what you're bringing up next.
I'm not bringing anything up next. I'm just marveling at Marvin girling out here. I feel like both of you need a cup of tea.
This show is my guilty pleasure, Lorn. It's...
Don't be guilty. Don't be guilty about it.
I'm not judging. I like I said, I like the show too, but you like it way more than I did.
I could talk.
Oh, Lorn, you and I are going to talk about Gilmore Girls. I want to get you into conversations about it. Okay, now this is really funny. I want to do some behind the scenes lore here. This is actually about, and I wish Kevin were here because this was supposed to be me and Kevin were going to geek out together. I'm bringing up the character of Kendall Hart from All My Children, and I sent this picture to Lorn. Lorn's like, I had to replace your photo. I hope that's okay because it had Sarah Michelle Gellar in it. And I was like, oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar played Kendall in All My Children. So that was why I picked the photo. So fun fact for people who might not know that.
Okay.
She got her career start.
I thought you were going for Buffy for a second.
No. She got her career start on All My Children. I mean, like kind of a big break. She got it on All My Children playing Kendall Hart, which is Erica Kane's daughter from an essay. Let's put it that way. Let's not get us in trouble. And then she left because she was becoming Sarah Michelle Gellar, and it was taken over by Alicia Minshew, who's the actress on the right. And she starts off as just this snot. She's rude, she's trouble, she's mean, and she's just bad. And throughout the series, she becomes better. She forges better relationships with people. She becomes like a really good part of the whole town. And I really wish Kevin were here, because right now I feel like I'm talking to a wall. So Kevin, if you're listening to this after the facts, you're here with me in spirit.
All the girlfriends together. You guys are cracking me up. This is the best show I think we've done.
You're welcome.
I can't weigh in on this one.
Listen, soaps are great.
I could call my grandmother if you want. She could probably
my stories
about this.
I still miss my stories. Okay, this is what I was saying, the segue. When you brought up Tristan, that's Chad Michael Murray, and Chad Michael Murray was on One Tree Hill. He left Gilmore Girls to do One Tree Hill, I believe. And he is horrible on that show. His character, not Chad Michael Murray, his character's awful. You're supposed to like him. He's supposed to be a good guy, but he's just insufferable. But there's 3 people I sent Lorn from One Tree Hill. I've been trying to get Kevin to watch this show for years because it's bug nuts. This person right here is Dan Scott. He's one of the adults, clearly, and he is awful. He actually kills his own brother in an episode. He is the worst. He's terrible to everybody. He breaks all sorts of laws, does all sorts of terrible things to people. He's rude. And then by the end of it, he's taking bullets for people, and he's like, I'm gonna become a family man. He's like, well,
he looks like an older version of Superman.
Does.
I see why you say that. Yeah, Paul Johansson. He it's an interesting road with him. It's one of the if anyone hasn't seen One Tree Hill, but they've seen the infamous clip of the dog taking the heart in the hospital and running away with it in its mouth. He was the person who was supposed to get the heart transplant in the episode. Anyway, because I remember Kevin sent me that scene, and he was like, is this real? I was like, this is 100% real, because this show had no less than something like 3 stalker storylines, 3 major car crash storylines. I love One Tree Hill. It's out of its mind. He looks like Batman 66. You see it, huh, Lorn?
He actually does. He's got a little bit of an Adam West look.
He does, yeah.
It's like I've never thought of it, but
yeah,
I see what you're saying. That is Nathan Scott, so that's Dan Scott's son. Now, Lorn, this was the person I asked you, how long do the arcs have to be for them to count? Because the main crux of his arc is really in the first season. He's this star basketball player. Chad Michael Murray's character is his half-brother. Dan is their father. And he's a jerk. And he does all of the typical or stereotypical high school jock stuff. You know, the reason why you wouldn't like a jock in high school, kind of like what you would see in like an 80s movie. But he quickly changes and grows because he forges a relationship with a girl that he started getting tutored by solely to try to get under Chad Michael Murray's skin. And long story short, he goes from being this jerk who tries to frame people for things. I mean, not like his dad, but frame people for things and all sorts of stuff, to being this family man who has kids, because he gets married to the girl in like the first season and they're like 16. The show's out of its mind. But he just it's like he looks at his dad and is like, I don't want to be that. And so he's not that. And he is one of the most likable and best people. And he's kind of like the male, I would say, the center of the show, because especially because Chad Michael Murray leaves. They try to make it Chad Michael Murray, but I would argue that it's Nathan Scott here. And yeah, him and his relationship with Haley are like, it's where all of that growth comes from. And it's legitimately rewarding to see him start off as this jerk that you would hate in high school and turn into this just like tremendous family man. Because the show does the time jump and they skip college. And my last one from the show, which is Brooke Davis, played by Sophia Bush. She is your stereotypical, like, I'm a party girl, I'm a bad girl. Like, and of course she's, got her issues, which is she's lashing out, which is, I guess, psychologically the reason people do those things. And, she is kind of loose with boys and all of this stuff. And then she becomes like the nucleus of the friend group where she's the heart and she's like, you could turn to her, and she is looking for love the entire time and looking to build a family, which he eventually does get to do towards the very end of the show, the last maybe couple of seasons. She gets married, she has her kids, she sets up her life the way she always wanted it to be, and was just kind of lashing out at not having herself as a kid. And she becomes, it's funny because she's sort of like the Nathan, where I don't know that she was supposed to be what you would consider the main female character and the heroine, but she sort of becomes that by the end of the show. And you root for her when there's love triangles. It's like you're on her side, and it's really nice because when you first see her, you're like, ugh, this one again. And then by the end of it, you're like, I would be friends with her and I would hang out with her, and she's awesome. And then it's Sophia Bush, so she's pretty. But there you go. You're muted, Lauren.
According to someone in the chat, she's a giant Star Wars fan, so I guess we get to talk about Star Wars now.
Oh,
is she really? I didn't know that.
That's what they said. Marvin, I'm going to need your help here because I have the images that Kevin sent over, but I don't necessarily know what he was intending with the context, and I'm hoping that you might know.
I might know what some of them are. I guarantee you there will be several that I will not know.
Okay. He didn't send a lot. I think some of them are obvious, some of them are less so. There's a couple here that I haven't even seen, so I'm going to have to rely on you a bit for this.
Sure.
Let me bring this one up. This one I think is kind of obvious.
Groundhog Day, yeah.
Obviously Groundhog Day. It's got to be Bill Murray's character. I can't remember what his name is, but do you want to talk about it a little bit, or do we just want to assume that the audience is familiar?
Yeah, like Groundhog Day is a redemption story. It's you have to redo this day over and over again until you get the best possible outcome. So yeah, it's a phenomenal redemption story.
Do you believe that the what's the guy's name? The you know who I'm talking about though. The guy that they speculate is the devil that cursed him. Do you believe that theory?
It's been way too long since I've seen this movie to know what that is.
Oh gosh, what? Well, I'm not going to take the time to look it up. But it's this character actor who turns up in lots of comedies. You got very specific mannerisms. He's the guy that I think was his name Phil. I don't remember. He encounters Bill Murray early in the movie when he's stepping into the puddle. He's like the insurance salesman or something.
Oh, I know.
You remember who I'm talking?
Right.
The theory is that he curses him.
The theory is that he's actually the devil, and that yes, he curses basically Bill Murray to become a better Ned Ryerson. That's the character's name. So yeah, it's just it's a fan theory, but I kind of like it.
I like it too.
All right, next one up, Creed 2. Now
Adonis
he did say
Creed, I guess, would be the redemption story here.
That's what I thought, but he did message me that he intended here for it to be Drago, and I assume he means Ivan, and not the not
yeah.
the son.
Ivan Drago definitely does have a redemption arc in this. Like we do see a different side of him. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I only saw it once, but I did like it. I like the Creed movies. I didn't see the third one because Rocky wasn't in it, so I didn't really care. But I think the first one is phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was too, although I didn't like the cancer subplot. I thought that was...
Yeah, that was a little much. That was like I think they were trying to give Stallone something to sink his teeth into.
Yep. Next one up, and this is the one where I really need help because I never saw this movie, so I have no idea who he was referring to here.
I have no idea what this is.
Sorry,
all right,
Kevin.
we're skipping this one because nobody knows. Sorry, Kevin.
If it's Ben Stiller, he has yet to redeem himself in my eyes.
This one I thought was a good pick.
Oh yeah, totally. I know all about this.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know? Okay, this is Gold Dukat from Deep Space Nine, and I saw other people calling. I saw other people calling him out in the chat. I think this is it's a very well acted role. Loved the guy who played this part. I saw also people were calling out Quark and Garak, which is another great pairing from Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine had some amazing characters and characters that had very complex arcs. Lots of them ended up in places you didn't expect. So I think Kevin made an excellent choice here. The next two, you guys are also going to have to help me with. I only know this guy because it's over 9,000!
Yep. Okay, so this was on my list, so I could talk at length about this.
It's funny that you say you guys like I have any clue about
right,
this.
Like, she has no idea. So Vegeta from Dragon Ball is one of my favorite redemption stories because it takes so long. So he is a straight up planet destroying mass murderer throughout the first season of DBZ. He comes to the Earth specifically to get the Dragon Balls and then rid it of all life so that he can sell the planet and wish for immortality. He becomes an ally of convenience in the Namek arc because it's basically like there is a bigger bad than him. And so he has to join forces with the good guys in order to try to fight that bigger bad. He then ends up kind of like hero adjacent for a while, where he's like on Earth after Namek, but he's still definitely a villain. He has no qualms about like killing humans if he has to. And he is just, he lives for battle. He just lives to test himself and become the strongest. So oftentimes what you're going to see is in a situation is Vegeta will somehow be, while trying to fight the villain, make things so much worse. Like, so there's this character named Cell so Cell's whole thing is he's a bio android, and he has to absorb two other androids to achieve his perfect form, which is then the ultimate power. He gets one of them, and Vegeta steps out of this room where he was where he was training for. It's like 1 day passes outside, 1 year passes inside. So he's been in there for that 1 day. So he's trained for a whole year, and he wallops second form Cell. And second form Cell says to him, like, man, if only I had a few more minutes and I could have absorbed Android 18. Oh, then you'd feel what it's like to eat the ground. And he's like, really now? And so he literally helps him hunt down the second android and absorb her to achieve his perfect form so that he can then fight him. And then he gets the tar kicked out of him. Like, it always happens that way. He does something that, like, you know, screws over everybody. But by the end of Dragon Ball Z, going into Dragon Ball Super, he is a straight up hero. He sacrifices himself. He has a beautiful moment of self-sacrifice in the Majin Buu arc where he essentially blows himself up to try to take Majin Buu out with him, but it doesn't work. And then he ends up coming back to life in the end, and he has to work with Goku, the person he hates the most. And it ends with the two of them giving each other a big thumbs up after they defeat Majin Buu. And after that, he's just a straight up hero. It's a phenomenal arc. It really is. I love Vegeta's redemption.
This next character, I don't know. I'm not even sure what show this is from, although I do know him from Firefly as a different character.
Okay.
So you're going to have to tell me who this is supposed to be.
Crowley! He's from Supernatural. I avoided putting people from Supernatural on here because, you know, Marv still pretends. But yes, I absolutely thought of Crowley. Kevin, if you were thinking that I forgot him, I did not. He's a demon, and he does demonic things, but by the end of it, I mean, he clearly enjoys Sam and Dean. He calls them Moose and Squirrel, and he helps them a lot. And it's to the point where others are like, do you think they're like your friends? Like, why do you help them so much? And he essentially starts teaming up with them. He will be like Crowley and do things that will be backstabby and self-serving and yada yada, but his arc ends in a very heroic way, and you wouldn't expect it for what his character started out as. And he's tremendous, and he's really, really funny. And the actor survived like a really, really bad heart attack, like a really bad one.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this was after the show, but so I'm always like happy to see Mark Sheppard, because that was a scary one when that happened to him.
I know him as Badger from Firefly, so that's where I know him from.
Oh, really? See, no idea.
So that's the end of Kevin's list. Marvin, I don't have pictures for you,
Right.
but you go ahead and give your list. I'm betting we probably got some overlap.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly, I think. But first, I wanted to, because when you look up like lists of like famous redemptions, one of the things that comes up on a lot of lists, and I don't know if I agree that there's a real like redemption arc in this, is the Shawshank Redemption. Okay. So you think Andy had to be redeemed because he was always innocent?
I don't think he was, actually. See, now this is the interesting thing. I wasn't sure if this counted as a redemption either. It's treated kind of like one.
Wait
but
a minute. Isn't it called the Shawshank Redemption?
It is,
It
but I
is.
don't think there is a redemption. I mean, I could see Red having a redemption arc more than Andy.
I think that's
And
true.
They refrain. He was my friend.
I don't think Andy was innocent. I think he actually was guilty. And so I think
the other guy admitted to it.
I think there's clues in the movie that indicate that. See, now I haven't read the novella, so I don't know for sure from that context. He never actually denies outright that he did it. He never really mounts a defense. The only thing he really does in the movie is escape. You know, he helps a lot of the inmates inside. He is portrayed as a good guy. I think he's a smart and clever guy. I'm not sure he's innocent.
Yeah, I think he's innocent. I've never doubted that for a second. I just
What's interesting is the chat split because 40's Mandalorian saying, nope, he did it. And Donovan saying, Red never believed Andy killed his wife and her lover.
I have never even heard this as a theory that he did it.
I think he did. Watch the movie again. See what you think. All right, so you got one from my list. What else you got?
Okay. I got, well, just as a redemption movie, I put down Logan, even though I don't like the movie very much.
Another Logan.
Okay.
I think that Logan does tell a good redemption story. I just don't like it as a Wolverine story. Deadpool and Wolverine is also a Wolverine redemption story. Okay, here's a character one. Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So he is the crown prince of the Fire Nation, and he is burned by his father and banished until he can bring back the Avatar because he insults his father's honor. And he's obsessed with hunting down the Avatar and bringing him back to the Fire Nation. He's the main villain for all of season 1. And then in season 2, when he fails to bring the Avatar back, the Fire Nation turns on him and his uncle. And his uncle is kind of redeeming him throughout because his uncle Iroh is just like the nicest, most wonderful human being on the planet. And you think that he's going to be redeemed in season 2, in the finale of season 2. All signs are pointing to him joining up with Aang and like fighting his sister and fighting back the fire and joining the team. And he sides with the Fire Nation. He sides with his sister. He goes back home. Season 2 on Avatar ends on such a down note. But then in season 3, when he finally gets back everything that he wants, that's when he realizes that this isn't what he wants. And what he really wants to do is to fight back against the Fire Nation. And he turns on his father. He has an amazing scene where he finally calls him out on everything. And he goes and he becomes Aang's his firebending teacher. And he helps Aang save the world, essentially. And then after that goes on to help the Avatar rebuild the planet, establish Republic City. And he becomes an amazing Fire Lord. So yeah, Zuko's redemption is one of my favorite redemption arcs in any show. So I had Spike down also, like Trish did. I also had Angel. I also had Angel down. I think Angel's redemption is great because it's never complete. Angel was the baddest, most evil vampire on the planet, Angelus, the demon with the face of the angel, and he was he killed the favored daughter of the Kalderash gypsy clan and was cursed with his human soul. And a vampire doesn't have a soul. So a vampire is basically a demon. It can't feel remorse. Suddenly he has his human soul back and he can feel infinite remorse for all the horrific things he's done. And it's him just trying to put enough good back in the world. And even though he doesn't think he can ever erase the red in his ledger, but in his show, he's fighting toward this prophecy, this Shanshu prophecy that says the vampire with a soul at the end of his redemption will become a human. And so he's fighting for that. And then in the finale, in order to actually do what needs to be done and like get the people that they need to take out where they need to get them, he literally signs away the prophecy. He gives up his happy ending because his redemption will never be complete. And okay. I think
it's really Spike's anyway.
It's not. Spike is not a Shanshu prophecy.
I don't know. Chat, anyone who knows about this, chime in. Is it spikes or angels?
Spike is not the Shanshu prophecy.
Yes, he is.
He's in no way, shape, or form.
Mike Glass says Spike's the one who fulfilled it.
He did not fulfill it.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
Spike does not fulfill it. Spike does not play a pivotal role in the apocalypse, and Spike does not become a human. That's the Shanshu prophecy. I will not hear this because that is Angel's prophecy. That is
absolutely
Angel does not get to pine over this prophecy for 5 seasons, only for Spike to come in season
who cares
5
what Angel pines
and
over?
take it. No, absolutely not.
He didn't even want his soul. Who cares?
I put Iron Man down as a redemption movie. I think the first Iron Man is definitely a redemption movie.
Tony Stark as a whole.
Yeah. Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. He is, and I'm talking about before, we suddenly redid all of the the writer's room to be a woke apocalypse. Rick's redemption is handled very sparingly, and I really, really like it. But again, it's a thing that's never complete because Rick backslides all the time, and I do enjoy that. Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones. You had that one, Lorn?
Yeah, you nailed me.
Yeah. Oh man, what a great when she says the Kingslayer and he goes, Jaime, my name is Jaime. And when he has that whole scene, the scene that you have right here, where he's talking about he wanted me to kill my father. What was I supposed to do? Kingslayer, oath breaker. But the guy still nailed his sister. So
it's even so one of the most surprising and well-written redemption arcs I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Shocked me to my core that this guy was redeemable.
Because he was such a horrific character in that first season.
Well, and you get because you're seeing him through Ned's eyes, and so you understand it. But when you see Brienne brings something out in him and reminds him what honor looks like and is. And when he opens up to her, I think, I don't know. To me, it's just fantastic. I loved it.
I mean, I hate how it ended because, they did not know how to end Jaime's arc, and having him and Cersei essentially just be buried alive together, I think was dumb. I think he should have been the one to kill Cersei, because she was leading everyone to their doom, and it should have been a really difficult thing that he had to do. But I digress. Kenshin Himura from Rurouni Kenshin. I mean, the entire concept of this show is redemption. Kenshin Himura was the most prolific assassin during the war that starts the Meiji era. They called him Batosai the Manslayer. And he was just lightning fast. And there's a live action movie of a couple of them for Rurouni Kenshin. And when you see in live action instead of the anime how fast he moves and just how deadly he was, it's incredible. And so throughout the war that starts the Meiji era, which I can't remember the name of the war at the moment, but he comes up against this guy who he fights in an alleyway, just some random guy enemy soldier that he's fighting, and he strikes him down, but the guy gets a glancing blow on his cheek. That's just this horizontal cut on his cheek. And as the guy is laying there dying, he keeps like through gasping breaths, he's saying, I can't die, someone loves me. And he kills the guy or whatever. Eventually Kenshin meets this girl who he falls in love with and is sent on this mission with, essentially to hide because the enemy army is trying to kill him specifically, and they need to hold him in reserve for the remainder of the battle. Well, eventually you find out the girl is the one that loved that guy, and she has been essentially waiting, working with the enemy to draw him out or even to kill him, but she falls in love with him throughout the story. And she when the enemy attacks and they're about to kill Kenshin, she jumps in front of him and basically gets killed by, Kenshin is blinded and he's trying to kill the bad guy that's trying to kill him, and she jumps in front of the sword and he kills her. And as she's laying there in his arms dying, she's caressing his face with one hand, and with the other hand takes her knife and carves downward through the scar. because she loves him and hates him at the same time. And so now he has this scar from these two lovers, these man and woman who were in love, who were going to get married, whose lives he destroyed. And it's a constant reminder on his face of this cross-shaped scar that he bears. So after when the Meiji era is established, the war is over, he trades in his sword for a reverse blade sword because he needs to be able to defend himself because people are going to be coming for him, but he vows to never kill again. So the blade end of the samurai sword is flat. So all he can, it's just basically a blunt instrument at this point. And throughout the entire show, he's saving people. He's doing the right thing. He's never killing anyone. He comes close a couple times, never ends up going back to killing. And then in the last episode, when he dies, as he lays there in his wife's arms, the scar is gone from his face. It vanishes because it's basically saying that like he achieved that redemption. And I love that. Phenomenal story. Rurouni Kenshin is one of my favorite animes. I have Piccolo down from Dragon Ball Z, who is the green plushie that I have over there. He is Goku's mortal enemy in the start of Dragon Ball Z. And when the threat of Vegeta comes around, decides that he is going to train Goku's son because Goku is dead and has to come back to life. And his son has shown that he might be the most powerful person on the planet. So Piccolo is like, fine, I'm going to train the kid up and I'm going to make sure that we have him as a weapon to use against these Saiyans when they arrive. Well, he ends up becoming friends with the boy, coming to care for the boy, and then in the battle sacrifices his life for him, which is just another beautifully poignant moment. But in Dragon Ball, all of these beautifully poignant moments are undone because death has no meaning in Dragon Ball. They just wish you back with the Dragon Balls. Xena from Xena Warrior Princess, it's all because she was a conqueror, she was a murderer, and the whole show is her redemption arc. I love it. And then I had Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer because she starts out as like, a very good character, but she becomes the ultimate evil in the 6th season and then spends the 7th season trying to redeem herself for it.
That's true.
And Lorn, I'm sure you've got this one. My last one is I also put down the Ice King from Adventure Time, but I don't really know enough about how that arc ends to be able to talk about it. But I have Anakin Skywalker down.
Oh, good. So we can talk more about Veronica Mars now. Sweet.
So that's exciting. The end of my list. So I know you have this one. So if you want to, yours here.
This one's an obvious one. It's a gimme. Everybody knew this was going to be on my list. That's actually why I'm handling it first. Mm-hmm. I have a couple that I think are going to be surprises. I don't have a whole lot on my list, so this will go really fast. The next one I think might surprise people a little bit, maybe. Because I don't know if everybody would think that anything had to be redeemed here, but it's Indy and Henry Jones Sr. Because their relationship was practically non-existent from the time that he left home, went through the battles of World War I, established himself and everything else. They had to redeem their relationship, and Indy had to redeem himself as a better man throughout the arc of all of the stories there. And when his father calls him Indiana, finally, and he turns and looks at him. That's what he's been waiting for his whole life, for his dad to recognize him as he wanted to be seen. And that's when he lets go of the treasure and takes his dad's hand and just lets it go as his father exhorts him to do. Love that. Just brilliant storytelling. The next one I know is going to make Trish happy.
Ooh. I
don't remember enough about this to be able to talk about it competently, but I believe it belongs on the list. And I'm surprised you didn't bring it up.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that. I don't see. Marv, do you count this? I don't really count this.
I don't know if I count it.
I did consider it though, Lauren. I did think of it, so I'm not making. I didn't consider it.
Well, because the redemption happens before the story.
But he's also always a jerk.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be a good. You don't have to be a good person to be a good person.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to also be as much of a jerk to Harry as you are.
That's the complexity of it that I love.
That's the cover.
But like, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not a cover. That's the thing. If it were a cover, I would say yeah, totally. But it's not a cover.
I love the Snape Harry dynamic because on the one hand, he is this precious thing because he is the last living remnant of the woman that he loved, but at the same time, he is the representation of her love for his sworn enemy, and so he needs to protect this boy for her, but he hates
But it's
him.
really kind
Because
of
every time he
selfish.
looks at Harry Potter, he just sees the face of James Potter and just gets so angry. But then he sees those eyes and he sees her eyes and he's just like, no, I have to keep him alive.
It's
I
one of
have
those
to
things
do
where
this
it's like
for
if
her.
someone wants to count it, it's like, okay, fine. But to me, like, I don't know.
I
don't know.
count it. I talked myself into it.
Because he was
All right.
selfish the entire time. He wasn't trying to save the world. He wasn't trying to do any of that. He was being a simp for Lily.
The
That's what it was all about.
the only thing that I think that his arc needed a bit more was more anger at Voldemort.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, in the full cast recording, they say Voldemort. They do not say Voldemort.
In the person who does my the other audiobooks, he starts off saying Voldemort, and then at some point in one of the we get to one of the books and he just starts saying Voldemort. It's just all right, they gave up on that one.
Yeah.
So my last one is going to be a surprise, and to be fair, it's probably not fair. This is my headcanon. But I'm going to go with it, and I think it might make people laugh. Admiral Ozzel.
Okay.
I don't think he's an Imperial.
For Shazel.
I think he's actually a rebel collaborator working from inside the Empire. Everything that he does is designed to misdirect the Empire away from Hoth, and when he cannot do that, he does everything that he can to signal to the Alliance there's trouble here. He brings the fleet in too close to the system so they're seen, and buys the rebels time to put up the shield so that they have to land a ground assault. And he pays for it with his life. I think he's a rebel plant.
So you would rather believe that he is a rebel plant than just that he's incompetent?
I do. I'm not. This is not a joke. I actually do think that Ozzel was a rebel insider.
It's possible. I feel like that would have been like a Tales of the Empire book if for Tales of Jabba's Palace and Tales of the Bounty Hunter, somebody would have written the Admiral Ozzel story and it would have been exactly what you just said.
I just think that I would make the point that I don't think anybody could be that incompetent, but I know people can be that incompetent. But listen, this is the guy who's at the center of the Executor, Darth Vader's frickin' flagship. It's like, you don't get there solely through patronage within the Empire. He would be at the center of the most valuable intelligence that they could possibly access. He's right in the nerve center. And everything that he does serves to give the rebels a fighting chance to get off of their hidden base. I'm convinced it was deliberate. So, anyway.
Me too. I totally agree.
That's the end of my list. That brings us to the end of the episode. I hope you guys had fun with it. I kind of threw this one off the cuff trying to think of something that would meld in with New Year's. I think it was fun. I think people had fun. I hope you guys did. I hope you, Trish, and you, Marvin, enjoyed being here tonight. Before we get out, we do have one last super chat from Snarky for $5. So Club 23, 2 a.m. That can't be right. Can you check on that? I don't know what time he's got it scheduled for. I'll try to look into it and see what I can find out. So stay tuned. That's all I can say on that. In the meantime, guys, hope you guys all enjoy New Year's Eve and New Year's Day tomorrow and the day after. If you're going to be out partying, be safe. Don't drink and drive. If you have had too much to drink, stay wherever you're at, sleep it off, go home safe to your families. Hope you guys have a safe, healthy, and happy 2026. We'll see you in the new year.
Lorn and Apollo!